I'm very excited and proud to be here today to open up the vaults and to give you a small glimpse into an amazing collection of over 1 million objects from our natural history and archaeological objects to photographic archives, textual archives, decorative arts, paintings, and drawings.
Well, it was growing in a number of different ways. It was growing at the school level, people donating to the schools, people also donating directly to the board. Students would sometimes get involved in archival collections, archival clubs, developing school-based archives as well. That is the main way. At Amalgamation, there was sort of a pushing together of these legacy boards, and we had to look at best practices of how these things were pulled together and how they were cataloged, how we could get better access to them, and to allow people from across the district, no longer just pockets in these smaller regional areas. In the past, the Toronto Board of Education did have an archaeological resource centre which did digs on our school locations and a number of Toronto areas, such as the Exhibition Place at Fort Rouillé and places like that. When you dig things out of the ground in Ontario, they become the property of the people of Ontario, so we actually have some legislative requirements to retain this material.
We are an educational institution, and that is our job. I want to be very clear. The works you're about to see here today are not for sale. The collection is not for sale. The collection is, and you will see this, an enormous educational resource.
We're in the object vault today looking at some of the many items that are here, including very early Commodore PET computers that many of the viewers will probably recognize. One of the first home computers that was in use, and they were used in the school board. We also have old machinery here like the Gestetner, which is like an early photocopy machine, a piece of paper that had like a carbon background, but it was a purple thing, was typed on and then put into the machine and then run off copies, and they were given out to the children to use. And they had this amazing smell that every kid immediately upon getting the sheet held it right up to their nose. And any of the parents who went through school would understand what I'm talking about. And it's interesting because when you smell that smell, it immediately brings you back to the classroom. You're immediately taken back there. So this is the power of smell, the power of objects to learn. We also have a collection of old typewriters and different calculating machines that are down here that were used in the schools and in the board over time. An example of an early electric model. These are the standard ones. Up here we have our magic lanterns, which are like early slide projectors, I guess is the closest example. And we have, thousands and thousands of the actual slides that go in there. And some of them actually give a 3D effect. It's quite interesting. And then just some of the calculating equipment, early things here. That just came to us over the years. The collection has been building since the mid-19th century, and there's over 1 million items in the collection right now. So we're now got the task of figuring out exactly what all of them are and then how we can use them to help the students and support the curriculum. We're using the objects as a gateway to learning about history.
This is sort of the scope of our collection, 6 tons of stone, right through to all sorts of different objects. We're going to have this piece here of the boy with the technical stuff put in the technical director's hallway. There's a space that we've dedicated for that.
Now this is an offset press. So I'm a little bit nostalgic about it because I ran one of these back in the 70s. But they're still used today. I think why we have it is the important thing to remember is that we collect for the future.
These works would have originally been hanging in everything from principals' offices, school hallway, and of course we centralized and brought them together to analyze the collection, protect the collection, and of course some of the works that you saw, for example, in the original room, the small Carmichael was in danger when there was a burst pipe in one of the schools. So that's why a lot of these works are here. And as I was saying earlier, the collection started mid-19th century by Egerton Ryerson. The purpose and the intent of the collection was for educational purposes. We're going to be returning a lot of these works and the collection back to its original intent for educational programming. So that kids all over the city will actually have these in the classroom for learning. And I know we've all talked about, yes, we go when we visit museums and we see art galleries, and no one loves museums more than me. But for a lot of kids, they go to a museum on a field trip once a year. They're going to have access to these works now in the classroom. and it'll be equitable.
So we get all sorts of different people coming here for all sorts of different reasons. From the, I mentioned earlier, the youngest researcher I've had is a grade 2 student, right through to advanced academic professors and scholars writing books, looking for their own materials and so forth. It's a rich, robust collection, but our focus is on our students at this point because they need to use it, they need the access. We're very, very fortunate to have it, and we would like to always connect it to the TDSB's core business, which is education. Right now, it's by invitation only or through a reference question. Of course, we're rolling out some plans for our teaching staff and our educators in the system, but that will be coming out in the next couple of months because we want to make sure that we connect this in a really positive way so the students can get excellent use of it. We're looking towards some plans in the fall for increased access. We're looking at digitization. We are looking at some partnerships as well. This is the conservation workspace. We don't do a lot of table work here, but we do some triage work, and there's not a lot of money. There is no conservation budget to look after this material. There's the largest picture of the Queen of England I've ever seen. It was here from the school. It was donated to us. It was used in their auditorium. But you can look it up. It's quite a beautiful piece. But once again, where would you exhibit that, and how do we connect that to our students? It's a beautiful piece, but we are always constantly trying to figure out how all of these records, all of these artifacts, all of this art relate back to the students' experience here at the TDSB.
What I'm about to pull out now are some examples of the 7. We have A.J. Casson on the top, and we have A.Y. Jackson here on the bottom. This is probably one of the finest examples of group work by A.J. Casson. Its signature, the heavy line, the Art Nouveau detail, it's just a phenomenal piece. And here on the bottom is A.Y. Of course, Casson was the youngest member of the group, and A.Y. was serving along with Lauren Harris, one of the fathers of the group. So 2 fine examples of group of 7 works. A lot of the works you see were donated by the artists. They were donated by their friends, collectors. So the artists had a very important role to play in building this collection.
The bell behind us, that actually came from Lord Duff, Dufferin Public School. So what happened was that we saw that these were going to be thrown out, and so we rescued them and brought them here because of the historical significance. That is the list of the war dead from the school from the First World War.
The history, the legacy, the stories of Toronto schools and their students must be preserved and made accessible to students and teachers as an educational resource and a tool.
Give it away, or if we sell it, or if we partner, we're going to lose that first contact. Our students have a rich resource here that they can partner their artwork with famous art. They can get into the collections and find out things about their schools, about all sorts of different things of their communities and so forth. This is the first step in providing that enhanced access and opening the collections mainly to our students to start with, but then to the larger communities and eventually out to partnerships with perhaps universities and other cultural institutions. We're just at a point now, as you can see, where we've brought it into a really safe, secure environment, and we're now moving forward with some other plans to increase the access.